In this movie, we'll take a look at how to apply automatic color corrections in Final Cut Pro. So I'm going to go to my 10.5 project, Auto Color Correction Begin, and I have here the same series of images that we corrected earlier in the chapter. And I've arranged them in a before and after structure. So here's before, and then here's after our manual correction, before and after, before and after. And we'll get to these a little bit later. So let's try out Final Cut's automatic corrections and see how they compare to our manual corrections. Now, the automatic corrector in Final Cut is called a balance color effect, and it's basically going to attempt to correct both the contrast and the color of the image. And when I say color, I mean that it's going to attempt to balance the image and remove any color cast. It's really not going to affect the saturation. So remember that, because we'll come back to that notion. So I don't think I'm going to go fully into my color correction workspace, but I'll open up the scopes. So I'll do View and Show Video Scopes. And let's just bring these over. And we'll show our 3 scopes. And I want to make that an RGB parade. So before we balance the color, I do want to mention that the balance color command is connected to a possible analysis that you may have performed on import. If I right-click and choose Import Media, and then come down to Analyze and Fix. This is what I'm talking about, Analyze Video for Balance Color. If I choose to analyze on import, then Final Cut is going to go through the entire clip to analyze its contrast and color. I can also trigger this at the browser level, so I can just find some B-roll real quick and show you this. Right-click and choose Analyze and Fix, and I can trigger it here as well. So if you pre-analyzed your clips, it's going to be a little bit more of an intelligent color correction. If you did not perform this analysis, then when you balance color, it will base the correction on wherever your playhead is, or if your playhead isn't on it, then it'll be the middle frame of the clip. And the cool thing about balance color is that you can balance multiple clips at once. So I'm going to select and then command click and then command click each of these clips. And then I'm going to come up to this menu and choose Balance Color or Option Command B. So let's see what Final Cut's done. It's attempted to correct the contrast and balance the color of our images, and you can see that it definitely looks better. Here's Mike, here's Casey, and here are the guys. Let's look at exactly what's happened here. I'm going to just park on this clip and then open up the inspector, Command 4, and here is before the balance and after the balance. So again, a lot better, but not quite as good as when we manually adjusted it. So why is that? Well, a couple of reasons. When contrast is adjusted, Final Cut attempts to remap the white and black values, but it's a little conservative, so in general, the values could probably be pushed even further. It also doesn't have the importance of your eyes and your judgment, so it doesn't stretch the white and black values as much as we decided to. For example, if you take a look at the Luma waveform, we have the lightest values resting just at 100, and we have these little wispy values, which are the shadows in Mike's shirt, right at 0. When we did our manual adjustment, we chose to push that just a little bit further and then later apply the broadcast safe effect, so that opened up our contrast even more. Also, balance color doesn't really touch our midtones much or the saturation of the image. And in this case, those types of adjustments are really important in fully correcting the image so that it looks a little bit more like this. We really bumped up our saturation, we warmed our flesh tones. It's a much more vibrant image than this one. Let's take a look at Casey. Here is before and after. And if you take a look at the RGB parade, it did attempt to remove that blue color cast, but it's still so muddy. It really needs some help with saturation. And also, it did not push the whites and blacks as much as we did manually. I think we could really push that up a little bit more and brighten up the entire image so that it looks more like this. And then this one doesn't look too bad. Let's take a look at the before and after. Here's before and after. So take a look at the RGB parade. It really did a nice job in removing that color cast, but we could probably increase the contrast a little bit more and then bump up the saturation to make it look a little bit more vibrant. So as you can see, you probably won't use balance color very often for a total adjustment, but it can get you started on the right track. But I want to mention something. Notice that the balance color is all or nothing. It's not like I can tweak this further with the color board. I would have to apply a separate color correction effect to make further adjustments. Personally, the way I will sometimes use it is that I will manually adjust my contrast, setting my shadows, midtones, and highlights myself. And then if there's a really bad color cast, I'll use balance color to help me out with that. And another note is that it generally does a much better job when the shot is already in relatively okay shape without too many contrast or color problems. Now finally, I want to take a look at match color. Match color is going to let me match one shot's basic color scheme to another shot's basic color scheme. So let's take a look at these two shots here. This one is balanced pretty well, and as we know, this one has a yellow color cast. So let's see the possibilities here. If I want to match this shot's color scheme to this one, I simply select it and then come back to my menu and choose Match Color or Option Command M. Now it says skim to a frame that you want to match, and I want to come over here and skim to this frame. And then when I click, it previews that match. And as you can see, it's really done a nice job in matching those two shots up. So when I apply the match, you can see that this shot has been corrected. And then here's my before and after. One note though, just as with balance color, match color does not come with a connection to the color board, so I can't tweak that further. If I needed to tweak it further, I'd have to add another color correction effect to make those adjustments. Just real quick, I'll undo that, Command Z, and this time let's match this shot. So I'll select this shot, then press Option Command M, and then skim to this shot, and you can see that it's matched it up. Now again, we don't want that yellow color cast, so I'll cancel, and we'll go ahead and apply the original match color like so. So bottom line, both balance color and match color can serve as a nice starting place for certain types of corrections. Almost always, though, you'll need to tweak it further with another color correction effect.